Yes, good morning, good morning, good morning. The day has arrived. It is the FA Cup weekend and it is back. All of those that did see the results yesterday, I hope you enjoyed it. FA Cup weekend is mad. No massive shocks, I wouldn't have said. Nothing I looked at and thought maybe a couple of replays. Nobody went out that I thought would, if I'm honest. Sorry, I thought wouldn't. I think most of the Premier League sides impressed and did their business. Maybe Aston Villa left it late, if I'm honest with you. I had Aston Villa in one of my accumulators and luckily Matty Cash won me some cash right at the end. Which is very ironic and quite fitting. But we're not here to talk about yesterday. We're here to talk about the preview for today's game, Arsenal versus Liverpool. I'll be on my way there very, very soon. And I'm looking forward to it. I can't sit there and say I'm massively positive. I'm not massively confident. I'm not looking at the way we're playing at the moment and thinking that will cause Liverpool huge problems. So I'm expecting a tight game. But I've spoken to a few friends of mine to try and get some injury news, some team news. And likewise, I've spoken to Grizz Khan and some of the other guys over at Liverpool to see what their situation is in terms of their team lineup and if they're going to rotate or rest today. And believe it or not, they believe that they are actually going to make some changes today, Liverpool, because they're kind of rotating between both today's game and the game against Fulham in their semi-final of the Carabao Cup, which is over 2 legs, but obviously they're taking seriously both this game and that. Now, when I say they've made loads of changes, they're not put loads of kids in. Liverpool have still gone very strong, in my opinion. We'll go through that in a minute. Arsenal as well with the team news. Doesn't look too good for Gabriel Jesus, people. It doesn't look so good for Gabriel Jesus. Apparently, he's looking at being assessed before the game, as is Zinchenko, to be fair, with a late fitness test. And I pray that both of them are going to be okay. But it looks like Gabriel Jesus is probably going to be out of this one. Now, what do we do? I'll go through some of the options in a minute. But what do we do now? Does Eddie Nketiah play up front? Does Kai Havertz play up top? Does Leandro Trossard go through the middle? Or do we do something completely different? We're going to discuss all of that on today's show. Make sure you do me a favor and smash the like button if you haven't done so already. And make sure you hit the subscribe button too. We're at 13.4, so we're on our way to 14K already, people. So make sure you join the community. Make sure you subscribe. It's absolutely free, and it's literally 2 clicks of a button. And you'll be surprised at how much that does for the show in terms of promotion and in terms of the likes that it gets. If you click on any YouTube channel, the number of likes will always boost it up to the top. So we want to make sure that we're reaching out to as many people as possible. So please make sure you hit the like button. It's the thumbs up. If you do want to keep on the chat, all you got to do is click the cross, hit the like, and then click on back on the chat. And it takes 2 seconds, and it means a lot to me. So please make sure you do that. Any questions you've got for me today, please whack them into the chat. Please make sure that you put a Q at the start so I know that it's a question. It's just easier for me as I start them. And these super chats are more than welcome, and they'll go to the front of the queue. So, Arsenal, Liverpool, how am I feeling? The last couple of days, I felt really, really down about Arsenal. I think most people have. I don't think there's many Arsenal fans that have felt highly confident about the way that we've played in the last 2 games. I think against West Ham, it was cause for concern because we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. But there was even more cause for concern against Fulham just because of the way that we played. I thought that everybody was second best. And I can't be seeing that today. I really can't be seeing that today. This is a game that I want to win. This is a game that we have to win. And if I'm honest with you, it's a game that Mikel Arteta has to win. We have to bounce back. The pressure needs to come off of him if he wants a successful season. And we actually need to look at this trophy seriously, because I would say that this is probably the one that we have the best chance of winning, because Manchester City to do another treble is quite unlikely. I say that. It is Man City. But they're out of one of the League Cups already. They've had the Super Cup and the Club World Cup to worry about. And we're going to be in a position now where we can take this one seriously. I do think there's people out there that believe that we are favourites today. And I can see in the chat that Sanchez says that we are favourites. I imagine we would be. We're at home. Liverpool, they know there's a game around the corner for them. They were out Salah. They were out Endo. They were without Szoboszlai. And they've made some changes, which I'll come to in a minute, from what I'm hearing. I honestly don't see why we wouldn't be, if I'm honest. I would like to say that we are favourites for this one, and I'd like to say that I'm confident. However, against this Liverpool side that I know can be lethal in attack, I do feel that it could be difficult. But make no qualms about it, they can be got at. I look at the midfield and I think whoever they play, we can have a stronger midfield. I look up top and I think whoever they play, they're going to have a wicked up top. In defence, I'd probably say it's even, depending on what they're going to do. But I feel like to think that defensively we're better man for man. That's one area of the pitch that I do feel that we've definitely improved under Mikel Arteta. Now, the stats at the moment say we conceded more than last year. That doesn't mean we're bad defensively, because in terms of who else has conceded, there's only Liverpool that have conceded less. So actually, we're in a good position defensively and have been for most of the season. Unfortunately, it's the other end of the pitch where we have problems. Now, I want Martinelli and Saka to both start today, and I want both of them to have an absolute killer. I want both of them to have pressure on them, because sometimes they're two players I look at that I think need a little bit of pressure. I need a little bit of a kick up the backside to actually give them half a chance of getting into a little bit of goal scoring form, because Saka's numbers aren't so bad, but his performances have been a letdown. And it's been the other way around for Martinelli for me. He hasn't been performing at his best, but I don't look at him and think, you're shocking. You're not even trying. You're not even running. Martinelli always gives 110%, but his numbers have not been there. So I need to see that improved. Martin Odegaard, likewise, the last few games, he started to get on the ball, but it's been everything around him that's been the issue. He's had no real through balls to put. He's had no much movement in front of him. And it's been very predictable when he's been on the ball from everybody around him, to be honest with you. And I think the defenders have started to suss us out. Now, how are Liverpool going to turn up? Well, Liverpool are going to turn up and they're going to actually play football, because Liverpool aren't going to sit there and say, right, we'll play in a low block. You have all the ball. We'll just try and keep you out. It don't work like that with Liverpool. Liverpool have never come to the Emirates and it's been 0-0, I don't think. So for me, it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game today, because I think both teams are going to be wary. But also, I do believe as well, no team wants a replay here. I don't want to be going to Anfield midweek under the lights on TV. No, thank you. I want to get this done today. So this is a game that we've got to be winning. I have to say that. Let's talk about the Gabriel Jesus injury, shall we? It's the elephant in the room. AFC Always has got a question. It says, Dan, would you sell Jesus in the summer? I would. He's too injury prone. This is another issue, isn't it? Another player that has an injury problem yet again at Arsenal, Gabriel Jesus. There's a lot of people saying that it's time for him to be upgraded, on which I actually agree with. And I know that he's only been here a year. So when you say it's time, actually he hasn't been here very long. But I always wanted an upgrade on Gabriel Jesus. Why? Because Man City needed one. And if we believe that Man City need an upgrade on Jesus, that means Arsenal do, because we need to be better than what Man City are. And now that Man City have got Haaland and Alvarez, it competes with Aguero and Jesus, whereas we're still stuck with Jesus and Eddie. And let's not forget that Jesus was their number 2 choice. He's our number 1 choice. So actually, when you look at it, we've got to look now and think, are we in a position where we can upgrade on Gabriel Jesus? And that leads us nicely on to, of course, the January transfer window, which is still open. There's no amazing heavy links with centre forwards. We've heard of Vlavic's, we've heard of Tony's, we've heard of Boniface, we've heard of a couple other mentions. But if I'm honest with you and I'm brutal, I really don't think we're going to get one. And if Jesus was to get an injury for a long period of time, and it's been rumoured there that out for 3 months, I've not heard that. I've heard that we don't know the extent of the injury yet, and it was in training. I've not seen any rumours. And I think that if we do get a long injury to Jesus, then perhaps we'll have to get into the... I mean, I think we do anyway. Can we rely on Eddie Nketiah, Havertz, Martinelli, Trossard? Maybe, but I'm not so sure that that's enough to win us a title. I think that's going to confirm and cement top 4 football. Will it win us a trophy? I have my doubts. I think our centre forward is being cried out for by all the media. Everybody wants Arsenal to get a striker so we can actually, as a neutral anyway, so we can actually compete and go for it this season, because I think everybody knows it ain't going to happen. So without Gabriel Jesus, we've got some options today. Do we play Kai Havertz up front? Do we bring Jorginho into midfield and play Rice and Odegaard with Jorginho and then have Havertz up top? That's one option. Do we replace Jesus with Eddie Nketiah and keep everything else the same? That's another question. Or do we do what I'd like to see, and that's Leandro Trossard through the middle? And a lot of people have said that Trossard is not so good on the wing and he's not so good in the 8. I actually like him in the false 9. I really do. And every time I've seen him play there, he's really, really impressed me. Now, Trossard as a season hasn't had the best either, but none of us have. Let's be honest. None of our top 4 have, right? But Trossard scored a hat-trick at Anfield against Brighton there. He went to Craven Cottage, a place we've just struggled, and got a hat-trick of assists in the first half, playing there. And then, when I have seen Trossard dropped out of the side, it started to go a little bit wrong when Eddie was put back there, or even when Jesus come back into the side. It kind of started to fall us off of the momentum that we were gaining with Trossard in that 9 last season. If you remember, he got Player of the Month in March. We didn't see him again in April and May, really. He was coming off of the bench. And I thought that was a bad decision. He was our best player in pre-season and wasn't really getting a start. He played at home against Fulham on the left and was shocking as much as everybody else was in the first half, and then got dropped. He's been dropped the last few games and been coming off or coming on from the bench. I'd like to see it. I would. I think he's unpredictable. I think he's got 2 feet. I think he's quick with his feet. I think he's good driving forward. I think he's got a lot of link-up play. I think he can actually allow for Masaka and Martinelli to work with his movement. So I'm looking at that thinking that could be an option and probably could be one of our best options. But if I have to be brutally honest, I think it will probably be Eddie Nketiah who plays up front, because we saw against Fulham he started. He's the one that he loves. He's his favourite. And Eddie Nketiah, let's be real, at home, in cup competitions, Mikel Arteta likes him. Mikel Arteta loves him, in fact. His Emirates record will prove that he can score goals there. So for me, I think he's going to go with Eddie. And that will be a big, big blow. A big, big blow. And that's no offense. And this is my problem with Eddie Nketiah. Let me just say this now. I do have nothing against Eddie Nketiah. Absolutely nothing against him. He's come from Hell End. He gives 110. He loves the fact he's an Arsenal boy. He's a proper Arsenal boy. He loves the fact that he can actually play in that shirt and wear the number 14. He's living his dream. I blame Mikel Arteta, though, because Eddie isn't good enough. And Mikel Arteta thinks he is. So that's not Eddie on Eddie. Eddie's doing what the manager's telling him to do. This is a very, very good example for you. Alex Iwobi and Danny Welbeck were 2 players that I always respected. I never thought they were going to make it to the top, but they used to come on and give 110%. And I used to say, do you know what? I'll give them there because they're trying. Eddie Nketiah is similar to that. There are games, however, where I don't think he's trying and giving his all, and that does frustrate me. But when I look at what Eddie Nketiah brings to Arsenal, it ain't good enough. It's just facts. I don't think there's anybody. Let me say this. Would Eddie Nketiah start for any of the top 8 teams right now? He wouldn't start for City. He doesn't start for Arsenal. He wouldn't start for Liverpool. He wouldn't start for Tottenham ahead of Son. He wouldn't start for Newcastle instead of Isak. He wouldn't start for Villa instead of Watkins. He wouldn't start for Brighton ahead of Ferguson or João Pedro. He wouldn't start for West Ham ahead of Bowen. He wouldn't start for Chelsea ahead of, who have they got? Jackson, or that's the closest you're getting to, Jackson and Broja. That's probably the closest you're getting to. So I'm not so sure, man. I'm feeling like Eddie Nketiah is the one that might need to say buy it in the summer, because we ain't going to get rid of him in January, because of, unless we of course buy a striker and replace him. But I just don't see that happening either, if I'm honest. Arteta absolutely loves him, and maybe he's doing something in training we're not sure of. I saw a goal he scored in training that Troops put on his Twitter the other day, and I thought, wow, I mean, let's be real. If he does that in the game, we'll be all right. There's no pressure in training. So that's that. That's where I'm at. Let's look at the team news then, because for Arsenal, the team news is going to be interesting, of course, in that one position. This is what I believe, anyway, the team will probably be. Ramsdale in goal. I think so. I think it's time for him to come back in. Mikel Arteta has always played 2 keepers in the Champions League and Premier League, and he's always played the second goalkeeper in the League Cup and FA Cup. So it'll be good for Aaron Ramsdale to return today at the Emirates. It'll be his first game that he's played at the Emirates since, of course, he was dropped for David Raya in the Premier League. So I personally feel like it's a interesting scenario for him, because I just really want him to have a good game, man. And I was on Troop's channel the other night, and he was saying if he plays well, he stays in. That's not going to happen. David Raya is number 1 until the end of the season, and David Raya will play Champions League games. So Aaron Ramsdale, really, this could be his last game in an Arsenal shirt if we lose today. Let's be real. So Aaron Ramsdale needs a good game, and let's hope that we win so that it isn't. This is the back 4 I think will happen. Zinchenko has got a late fitness test. So if he is not fit, it will be Jakub Kiwior. Now, I'm not a fan of Kiwior at left back at all. It might even be that Cedric comes in and plays at left back, because he might be a bloody better option than what Kiwior's actually put in. So I personally feel like Zinchenko will be all right, but I've not heard anything. So if he is out, then yeah, it's someone's in the chat asking me 15 questions, the same one. Why don't you challenge Robbie and Laurie on Eddie? Go back and watch AFTV, man. I've never rated Eddie Nketiah, and me and Turkish have had a thing with Laurie about Eddie Nketiah for a long time, man. So go watch AFTV and you'll find out. Big up, bro. So White, Saliba and Gabriel, that's going to be the same, isn't it? To be fair, it's the only options that we've got. We've got Cedric and Kiwior as the only backup options, man. It's absolutely crazy to think that that is the case. But that, I believe, will be our back line. Then we've got options, haven't we? We've got options. This is what I would probably look to go with. Declan Rice, Ødegaard, Havertz, Martinelli, Saka, and Trossard. Now, I've been one that has said that I don't want to see Havertz in the 8, but I really don't see that we've got another option at the moment other than Smith Rowe. And Smith Rowe hasn't played enough games for me. He just hasn't played enough football. So I can't really see another option there with Fabi Vieira out. Who are we going to play there? Now, the other option we could do is play Jorginho in the middle. We could play Jorginho holding in the Rice position and then have Rice and, of course, Martin Odegaard, who, you know, would give us the creativity and allow Rice to push forward a bit more. So there's definitely options in midfield and up top we can do today, 100%. Saka or Martinelli, I want to see him start. I just love him too much not to. A lot of people are saying drop Martinelli. He's not been good enough. Give Saka a rest. He's not been good enough. We can't. It's Liverpool. Come on, man. This isn't, you know, Chesterfield in the FA Cup. This is Liverpool. We have to play our best 11, man. And as for Trossard, I've mentioned why I like him, but this is not what I think will be. I think this is what I would go with. The team I think it will be, I actually think it will be Eddie Nketiah for Trossard today, and the rest will stay the same. That's what I think will happen. But we could put Jorginho in. We could. So let's see what happens there. We've got options there. I think Martinelli and Saka are being looked at today massively, massively. And to be honest with you, Kai Havertz is too. Martin Odegaard, likewise. We're looking at these players today, aren't we? We're not looking at us, Declan Rice, be good today. Saliba, Gabriel, please keep it solid today. No silly mistakes. We ain't doing that today, right? That goes without saying, of course, but they're not our issues or our problems. So I think that is going to be the team or that I would go with or similar to it. But I think Jorginho could be thrown in. Eddie Nketiah could be thrown in. There could be a couple of options there. When we move on to Liverpool, this is where it's interesting because I'm being told that they are actually making some changes. Now, this is something that I've got from Grizz Khan, who has tweeted this out today, that he thinks this is going to be the team. Alisson in goal, Trent Alexander-Arnold at right back, Quansah and Van Dijk as a centre-back pairing because there's no Kouyate, who's been out rested, and Joe Gomez continues at left-back ahead of Tsimikas, who I believe is injured now. Their midfield and their centre-forwards does surprise me. In midfield, they have no Szoboszlai and Endo, so they've had to go with Gravenberch, McAllister, and Curtis Jones. And McAllister, I believe, will be the one to play that holding role as he has a bit more deep lying this season. That can be got at. That can be got at whether we play Jorginho, Rice, and Odegaard or Rice, Havertz, and Odegaard. That can be got at. Curtis Jones is an absolute workhorse. Gravenberch, I've been really impressed with, to be fair. But let's be real, McAllister is not a holding midfielder. So we really should be able to have a lot of control in that midfield. And then we move forward to the front three. And this is where it gets interesting for me because I really expected it to be Jota, Nunez and Diaz. But it looks like Nunez and Diaz are being dropped. And Harvey Elliott is going to get his nod at right wing and left is going to be Jota and through the middle Gakpo. That could change. They could interchange between Jota and Gakpo. That could interchange for me. But I look at it and I think, okay, that is better than Salah and Diaz being in there and Nunez being in there causing havoc. For me, let's be real. Let's be real. That three there is less frightening. Now, I'm not going to be silly and start to tell you that this is not by any means us to get excited and go, Liverpool are not going to score. We're going to keep them out. Because, yeah, Gravenberch and Jones can create. Alexis McAllister can hit one. Harvey Elliott's really impressed me as an impact sub. Cody Gakpo is a player that can score. And Jota's probably their best finisher. So this isn't by any means, oh, well, that's it. And I spoke to Grizz earlier and he said, Arsenal will win this. Look at that team. And I thought, no. Trust me. The way we're playing, Liverpool are going to get chances. Liverpool are going to score goals. And I think they've got an opportunity to get one over us today. I really have. I look at the teams. That does give me a little bit more confidence. I'm not going to lie to you. Without seeing Salah in there, without seeing Endo in the holding midfield role. Not that I'm a mad fan of Endo, but he actually is a holding midfielder and he's done quite well there. Seeing Quansah, who I do rate, by the way, as a youngster, but he's not better than Kouyate. Robertson's be out as well. They've got a lot of players out, Liverpool. So there's no excuses today to go and win this game. Arsenal got to, you know. That's the one. That's the team I'm being told it is. Maybe we're wrong and me and Grizz get put in the mud, but that's what I'm expecting from Liverpool. As for Arsenal, I think it's obvious what we're going to do, but that's what I would have done. Obviously, Mikel Arteta, he isn't Dan Potts, man. A lot of you will say, thank God for that. But when it comes to the actual 11, I imagine Eddie Nketiah will replace Jesus and the rest will be the same. Or if he does change in midfield and he wants to put Havertz up there, which will probably be my preferred option out of the two, I'd rather Havertz up there than Eddie. If I'm honest, I'm done with Eddie. I'm sorry, Eddie. And in the middle, Jorginho probably will give us a little bit of control in that midfield, and it allows Rice to push forward. So that's the one that would probably excite me a bit more with Martinelli and Martinelli and Saka either side. For those joining us late, yes, Jesus is out. I don't know if it's for 3 months. A lot of people are saying 3 months in the chat, which is worrying me. I'm being told he's out injured, but I don't know how long for. We don't know the extent of the injury. And I think one of the guys at Daily Mail has said that we don't know the extent of the injury, but he is out. Question from Jack, and I'm going to answer it for all of you in the chat. Bro, where did you get that poster from? This poster right here is a canvas from Gunnar Russ 11. Go to Gunnar Russ 11 on Insta and ask him for one. He is doing them cheap for Gunners. Make sure you go get one. The link is in the description from his Instagram. Make sure you go do that, man. He's an absolute legend, proper Gunnar, always at the Emirates. A lot of people know him from the channel. Gunnar Russ 11 on Instagram. Just drop him a DM and say, Dan Potts sent me, and I want one of these. And he'll sort you out. All right. So make sure you do that. Ash Boofer says, Dan, if Jesus is out for 3 months, who would be your preference to bring in to bolster the squad? Ivan Toney. I've said it. He's ready to play now. He's kept himself fit. He's been training. So he is the one that I need. Now, a lot of people are saying he won't get him for 100 million. I don't think he's going to go for 100 million if he says that he wants to come to Arsenal, which means that we can do some bartering and we can try and maybe throw Eddie Nketiah or Reece Nelson into the end, into the deal. 55 million maybe at Eddie Nketiah. Would that be enough to cut it? I don't know. But that's what we should try and be doing. Boniface is another guy. I reckon he's going to be a lot of money from Leverkusen. I think he's got something like 10 goals in 16 games. He's another option. I quite like Gyökeres from Sporting Lisbon. I think he's done really well. He was at Coventry last year and basically pretty much single-handedly put them into the playoff final. Then was realised he's too good for the Championship. He's gone to Sporting Lisbon. Not a player that I think is very old. I'm not too sure how old he is, but he's a player that has attributes that I think we lack, that perhaps Olivier Giroud bought. So that would be one that I look at. Apparently, Tony scored a hat-trick in the under-23s. Does not surprise me at all. So there we go, man. Football Terrace is saying he's out for 3 months with a knee injury. I've not heard that. I can't say that's right or wrong. I really can't, if I'm honest. This one's coming from Jake, who says, what do you define as throwing cups away? If we play the strongest team possible and still lose, did we throw it away? No, absolutely not. And it's a great question, Jake, because a lot of people ask me that and say, oh, what, are we going to go strong? We're going to go rotated. We're going to go strong today. So therefore, we won't throw it away. I think when people get frustrated with Mikel Arteta, is because we've gone to places like Nottingham Forest, we've gone to Southampton, we've gone to teams like West Ham this season, and we've played a B team, and there was no need. There was absolutely no need. We needed to be in that competition. We need to be in this competition. So if we lose to Liverpool and we played our strongest team, that's not throwing a cup away. Of course it's not. Absolutely not. So it's a good question, man, and I think it's one that needed answering. So fair play to you, bro. This one comes in from Philippe, who says, if you lose today, is Arteta's job at stake? No, it's not. There's huge pressure on him, though. Absolutely huge pressure on him. But it's not a job at stake. And I honestly believe as long as we get into the top 4 this season, Kroenkes will keep him. Unless the fans turn and say they want him out. I honestly do not believe that is going to happen. This one comes in from Dan. Oh, Dan, would you sell Jesus in the summer? He's too injury prone. Yeah, bro, I did answer that one. If you rewind back, I did answer that. You did put that in first of all, so I did answer that one. I would not sell him. I would replace Eddie Nketiah and keep Jesus as my number 2. That is what I would do. Garther says, Potts, thoughts on Arteta not rotating the centre backs? Brother, I don't think he can, man. I don't think he can because of the injuries we've had. Unless you want to play Cedric at right back and put Ben White there, I don't think we can. Or maybe put Kivior at left centre back and Zinchenko at left back. We haven't got anybody to rotate, bruv. And this is why I say we need another right-sided centre back and we need to get Kieran Tierney back. Because for me, you've then got Tierney and Zinchenko. You've got Tomiyasu and Timber at right back. And then you've got Ben White that can play there as well. And you've got Ben White and Saliba as your right-sided centre-backs. And then Gabriel and Kivior as your left-sided centre-backs. And that was what I thought we were going to be doing in the summer. But with the injury to Timber and Tierney being allowed to go out on loan, we were just left short. And it's clear that we've been left short now that Tomiyasu's gone out to the Asian Cup as well. So we can't really, if I'm honest, we can't really rotate. Steve Reynolds says, would Firmino on loan be of interest? No, not for me. There's reports that Forest are in for him, apparently. There's a couple of other, I think maybe was it Fulham or Everton or someone were looking at him as well on loan. I don't think that's an option for Arsenal. I'm a huge fan of Bobby Firmino and what he did at Liverpool. But for me, we've already got one in Jesus. We need another different sort of striker, man. We can't be looking at another Jesus coming in. So for me, it needs to be an upgrade on Jesus. Here we go. Captain's Corner says, Dan, since Arteta is going to get sacked at the end of the season, who would you bring in? Listen, Arteta is not going to get sacked at the end of the season unless we finish outside of the top 4 and it goes completely wrong. So I do think we'll stick with him. Would I? No. If we finish trophyless and we come into the top 4 and we don't fight for the title, I would look for a change, but I don't think the club will. And I don't think the fans will want that. There's only a minority like myself that would want that. A lot of the fans are just happy to get top 4. Happy. Just happy. And that for me is a problem with the fan base. Who would I get in? My number 1 would be Carlo Ancelotti because he's a winner and I think he would get this team winning. My number 2, a lot of people don't like, would be Diego Simeone because I think he'd be ruthless. I think he'd go in there and I think he'd give them all a kick up the backside and I think he'd get them winning. Now, the only doubt of my mind about Diego Simeone is the fact that actually he ain't done that well at Atletico Madrid over the last few, but his CV is very, very impressive. So I have to see where we go there. But I think Arteta's staying whatever, so I'm not going to talk about managers just yet. Aaron Knowles, big up, my bro. Aaron says, what do you reckon on Dybala? 10 million. He's on decent form and he's better than Eddie. We're not spending even a tenth of what Tony cost this window. It's a shame, man, because if we're not going to be spending money like I hoped that we would, then, of course, we're going to have to look at our options sensibly. Ivan Toney's going to be a lot of money, as would somebody like an Ollie Watkins or someone mad like that. Vlahovic is going to be a lot of money. They reckon sort of 50, 60 million. Not sure Juventus want to get rid of him either. Boniface is going to be a lot because he's young and he's on fire and he's scoring. And everybody looks around the market at the moment and it's mad. Once there's a player that's doing well at the moment, to add on about 50 million. It's absolutely mad. Dybala, let me come back to this. Always a fan of him. Always been a fan of him. Never hit the heights that I thought he would. When I first saw him, I thought, oh, yeah, he's actually looking like a good player. And he never really hit the heights that I thought he was going to. It's very risky, but for £10 million, would it be worth the risk? Maybe it would. Maybe it would. I don't know how old Dybala is, if I'm honest with you. But, yeah, is he better than Eddie? I mean, I don't want to stop being harsh on Eddie too much. But, yes, he is. Dybala's 30 years old, and he's a player... 5 goals, 6 assists in 16 appearances. Where is he at the moment then, Aaron? Tell me where he is at the moment. I don't even know where Dybala is at the moment, man. Just looked at his age. I should have checked where he's about as he's playing. Is he at Roma? Yeah, he's at Roma then, is he? Listen, I don't feel like it's a bad signing, but it's not one that excites me. But is he an upgrade on Eddie Nketiah? Absolutely. A lot of people are saying Lautaro Martinez as well is an option. He had a dreadful World Cup. He looked abysmal, absolutely abysmal in the World Cup. But his stats are good, man. Lautaro Martinez's stats are good. He scores goals. So that would be another option. But Inter Milan, they're going to get rid of him for cheap. Like, come on, this is the problem. We have got... how much money have we got to spend? If you're telling me we've got 25 million to spend on a striker, I'll look at different options. If you're saying that it's unlimited and we've got 100 and God knows, and you go and get Osimhen, they've got to find a balance in between somehow. We've just been given 70 million for Champions League qualification. Surely we can get some players sold so that we've got some money. You know, we've got players on the fringes that need to be sold. El Neni, Cedric, players such as Fabi Vieira, if they was to come in, Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson. These are guys that could all be sold if need be. And then we get the opportunity to go and dip into the market. Jimenez is another one from Feyenoord that's being mentioned in the chat. Doing very well at Feyenoord, to be fair. But again, all these players are risks. Ivan Toney, I don't think is a risk. Because every signing is a risk. But I don't think Ivan Toney is as much of a risk than someone from a different league, because we know what Ivan Toney can do. He's an all-round centre forward. He can hold the ball up. He's got strength. He's got pace. He's got power. He's got attributes that I think a lot of our strikers don't have. He can take set pieces. He can take free kicks and penalties, and he scores them. He can do all sorts in the box. He's good in the air. He's good with his feet. He's technically good. What is there that Ivan Toney can't do? I'm not saying he's Messi or Mbappe, by the way, but I think personally it's a really good option. So that's the one that I would want 100%. Aaron says, I'd love to spend big in this window, but I just can't see it. What can we do is try and make shrewd signings at least for this season. Yeah, I think we've tried to do that in the previous windows, haven't we? We got Jorginho in, we got Trossard in, we got Kivior in. They were all quite sort of shrewd pieces of business that haven't really been flops at Arsenal, if I'm honest. Jorginho's not been a flop. He's not been great, but he's not been a flop. Trossard likewise. Kivior's not been a flop at left centre-back, but he's definitely a flop at left-back. So it's mad, really, to me. Where are we at with likes? Mum's in the chat trying to get the likes up, people. Come on. Look, we're at 250 people, over 250 people. Not even at 100 likes. What's happening? Come on, man. Surely you love me more than that. All it is a like button. It's the thumbs button. You know it. You just got to hit it. It's absolutely free. And subscribe as well while you're there and get us on the way to 14k, people. So please make sure you do that. It's absolutely free and it means so much for the channel. I know a few of you are liking already, so big up to you all. Thank you so much for hitting the like button. Make sure you can get us up to 100 likes within the next few minutes, people, as we close. Predictions then. I said yesterday 2-1 to Liverpool. I'm going to stick with it and hope it's reverse psychology and that we can beat them. I'm looking at that Liverpool squad thinking, yeah, we should be able to beat that team. But this is Arsenal at the moment. They were struggling to score goals, and Liverpool are not struggling to score goals. Jota is an unbelievable finisher. Harvey Elliott, he does scare me. He's a great player. And Gakpo can put the ball in the back of the net. They've still got Diaz and Nunes to bring on as well, which can cause havoc on the bench. I believe that if they don't start, and if this is the team I expect, and then of course they've got players at the back that can give them a little bit of sturdiness as well. Arsenal, not sure we have, really. Not sure we have. Emil Smith-Rowe, Reece Nelson and Eddie Nketiah have been our last few subs that we've been bringing on. I'm not so sure that works, if I'm honest. I'm really not so sure. So we'll have to see what happens. Marcin Bolivian says, love the channel. Big up, my bro. Make sure that you're liking the content. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And make sure that you are all helping and support the community. If you do want to join as a member, you now can. And that is literally right next to the subscribe button. So literally hit like, subscribe. And if you do want to join, then you can do. Super chat here even from Anurag, who says, Tony is good, but I don't think he's worth 80 to 100 million. But that's what Brentford will ask. Now with Jesus injured, we might not have any other option. I'm with you, bro. I think we need a striker, and I do think that if Tony was available, it's someone we should go with. Now, I believe he's available, but it is going to be for crazy money. I don't think he's worth 80 to 100 million either. I think he's probably a 60 million pound striker at 27 years old, who's moving on to 28, who's got 19 goals in his Premier League season. But if that wins me the league or a trophy, and it was 80 million pounds, it's worth it, right? We might have to chuck a player in. Maybe they want 60 million and a Nelson, or 60 million and a Smith-Rowe, or 60 million and an Eddie if they want another striker. I just think with Visser as their only guy, I really think Tony's going in the summer. I just don't think he's going to go anytime soon. So going to be interesting, man. Really interesting to see what happens. Big up for the super chat. Big up for all of your chats and questions. I hope that we can do it today. Come on, you Gooners. Let's make sure that we go and actually get a bit of bounce back ability in this team, and this manager who needs it as well, man, because there's big pressure on him as well. Thank you all so much for liking. We're only literally 5 away from 100. So come on, people, 5 more likes and you've hit me at 100. That's all I need. 5 people to press a button. That's all I need, man. That is literally what I need. 5 people to hit a button, and then we've hit 100, and I am happy. If you haven't done so already, please make sure you hit that thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe to the channel as well. We're on the way to 14k, and we will see you next time. Take it easy, people. Up the Arsenal.